also known as DECCD at the Department of Human Services. Also joining me from my office, I have Angela Crockett, who is one of my deputy directors, and she also oversees the child care payment program. Most of you probably know her. I've had some correspondence with her. And then I'm also joined by Laura Dixon, who is my other deputy director, and Laura is also policy advisor for the division. So I want to welcome everybody. Happy Wednesday. We've got some beautiful weather here. I wish I was able to be outside, but unfortunately just can't do it right now. I hope everyone's doing well. Those of you that maybe, I know many of you have probably joined us in the past, but for those of you that are new, I'll just kind of explain what these sessions, how these sessions go. We are doing these sessions once a month. We were doing them twice a month, but we had to scale back just because of some time constraints, but we are going to continue to do these once a month. And we initially started doing these in response to COVID. But I will say that we've had a very overwhelmingly positive response to us conducting these meetings, and my plan is to continue these into the future. I think they provide a really great opportunity for us to share some information with you and then give you all an opportunity to ask us questions. So the way this goes, I'm going to share with you just a few updates from our office. And then I'm going to give you all an opportunity to ask some questions about things that might pop up. Just as a total disclaimer, I may have the answer, I may not. But if I don't have the answer, I will definitely get it to you as soon as we can. We do record these sessions, and we post the recorded sessions on the same page that the link to the sessions is on the CCAC website. And we can share that link in the chat before we get finished today. Another thing, just to let you all know, Andrea Sanders, who is the the principal deputy executive director for the division and has direct oversight of DECCD, she's probably going to jump on here at some point. She had another appointment, but she did want to make sure that she had the opportunity to jump on. So I'm going to be kind of watching for her, and at the point that she jumps on, I'll probably pause and let her speak to everyone. So okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Like I said, I've just got a few announcements from our office before we give you all the chance to ask some questions. When you do ask your questions, put those in the chat, and Laura is going to relay those questions to me, and we'll get to those in just a few minutes. So a couple of things, just to let you know, you should have received notice, you should have received word through your email. We are continuing to pay, we're continuing to do reimbursements for subsidy based on enrollment rather than attendance. We're going to continue to do that through the end of December. Now, I will say at the end of December, there's a good possibility that we're going to have to look at discontinuing that practice. But we are definitely going to be doing that through the end of December. So that means that we're going to be reimbursing based on your enrollment, not your actual attendance. Now, again, that does not apply to the CCARE, the temporary CCARE sites. We're also going to continue to cover parent co-payments through the end of December. And again, we do that just to make sure that you all get the full subsidy reimbursement. And it also gives our families a little bit of relief, a little bit of financial relief in terms of their childcare expenses, but also just make sure that you are not charging them copays because of that. And keep in mind that a copayment is not the same at, let's say, for example, your tuition rate is higher than the subsidy rate. You can charge them the difference. The copayment is the amount that's part of their contract, their subsidy contract, that they're responsible for their subsidy payments. And then the other thing that we're going to continue doing is we're going to continue paying the enhanced rate which is about 25% over the standard rate through the end of December as well. So we're going to be continuing to do those three things. I will say we have reached capacity for our emergency certificate funding. As a result, we're not going to be taking any further applications for our emergencies. Those are the temporary emergency certificates. We are processing those applications that we've received before the cutoff date, but we just simply cannot pay for any more of those emergency certificates. So just to let you know, and we sent notification out, but just make sure, if you have any parents that are asking about that, just let them know that they can still apply for normal, subsidy, but the emergency temporary certificates, we can't issue any more of those. We're also still accepting applications for the booster shot payment. And many of you hopefully should have received your booster shot payment if you were in the first round of applications. We know there were a couple of issues with capacity and everything. If there's any issues with your booster shot application, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We'll look at whatever is going on and we'll get it fixed. But we're going to continue to accept applications through November. So if you have not already applied, you are free to apply. You cannot apply more than one time though. Sorry. I don't have a money tree. I haven't learned how to grow those just yet. So another thing that I wanted to talk about, which and it's kind of probably been a big topic of discussion, is what's going on with the early childhood academies. So what has happened with the early childhood academies, and those are the sites that function to provide those resource and referral services and also training and technical assistance. We received notification from the Mississippi Community College Board a few weeks ago that they did not wish to continue to hold the contract for their services. And so as of December 31st, the oversight of the early childhood academies will not be under the Mississippi Community College Board. Rather, the oversight of those sites is going to be done through a direct contract with each individual community college and my office. So DECCD, right now, what we're doing is we're working out contracts with each individual community college. There were 15 original sites, which included 13 sites that were on community college campuses. Two of them, one of them was part of the Pearl River Community College, but it's actually not located on Pearl River's campus. It's in Petal, Mississippi. The other one is a site that's in Durant in Holmes County. So of the 15 original, 13 of those sites have stated that they want to continue offering those services. The only two community colleges that have opted out is the Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College and the Mississippi Valley Community College. All of the others, we are currently in the process of getting contracts completed. And our plan is all of those services will continue after December 31st. So you will still have the resource and referral system. We will still be offering technical assistance. We're still going to be offering professional development. We've reached out to our other sub-grant partners, including the Mississippi Early Childhood Inclusion Center, the Department of Health. They're going to continue to do their training. And there's several other entities across the state that are offering some really good professional development opportunities for you all. But I did want to just let you know that we will continue to have a resource and referral system. And we're in the process of also expanding that a little bit more to account for those two sites that said they did not want to continue services. So that's pretty much the plan as far as the ECA transition. The biggest difference that you won't even know is that, again, DECCD is going to be contracting directly with the community colleges rather than contracting with the community college board to provide these services. In regards to this changeover, I think it also presents an opportunity that I want to take advantage of. I want y'all to be on the lookout next week for an email that's going to be coming from me. DECCD is going to be hosting a series of what we're calling virtual town hall meetings. They're going to be very similar to this format, except that you will not be muted, and we're going to give you the opportunity to talk to us about, excuse me, about the services that are out there right now, what's been useful to you, what are some of the trainings and the technical assistance that you've participated in that have been useful, and then what are some additional things that we can do to serve you? What are some other things that you need in terms of training, technical assistance, excuse me, I'm sorry, and other services that we can provide? Are there some ways that we can make the resource and referral system better serve you, better support you? So we're going to be hosting 6 sessions. 3 of them are going to be during the day. 3 of them are going to be at night. And you only have to, if you want to give your input, you only have to attend one of those. You're definitely welcome to attend more than one of those sessions if you want to. But all you have to do is just attend one of those. We're also going to give you an opportunity, if you don't wish to voice your input, if you would prefer to send that in writing, we're going to give you that option as well. This is just a way we want to hear from you. We want to know what you all need, how we can better serve you. And there's, I really wish that, we could all meet face to face and y'all could see this handsome face in person, because it's even better than it is on camera. Just kidding. But I do wish that we could all be together, but amid COVID, I feel like that, the virtual is going to be the safer option. So again, be looking for that email that's going to come out in a couple of weeks. It'll have those dates listed, and it will have how you're going to, it'll be a Zoom meeting just like this one. So you'll have the link, and we'll post the link on CCAC as well. But you'll have the link to this, and so you'll just sign on just as you do for these sessions. One other thing that I want to bring up, Laura, Andrea hasn't joined yet, has she? I haven't. Okay, just want to make sure I hadn't missed her. One other thing that I want to mention that we're working on, and we're actually going to do, I want to do a quick poll. Your names are not associated with your vote or whatever. But Laura, can we pull up that poll, please? Okay, so we are working on doing direct deposit for you all. So no more paper checks, and we want to know how many of you would be interested in receiving your subsidy funds through direct deposit. So what this means is you would not be getting a check mailed. It would be much quicker. You would get immediate, the day that the checks are cut, you would receive those funds immediately. You wouldn't have to make a trip. You don't have to make a trip to the bank. It's any of you that may have done direct deposit, in other jobs that you've had. It's pretty nice. It's a pretty sufficient way of making sure that we get funding to you. As you know, sometimes we have issues with getting checks processed. Sometimes the mail's late, and this would eliminate, a lot of that. So if you would like to participate, if you would just check yes. If you would not like to participate, or if you're not interested in receiving direct deposit, you can check no. And if you're still not sure, you can click, that you're unsure. I'll say that the process for this, it would be, we would not handle your banking information. We use Regions. They would send out a link that would allow you the opportunity to, that would allow you to enter your information, your account where you would like to have. It's on a secure portal where you would like to have your money sent to you. So I'm going to give y'all just a couple of more seconds. About 10 more seconds. All right, so it looks like we've got 89% are interested, about 5% are not interested, and we've still got about 6% that are unsure. Well, given that, just kind of that weigh in, we are going to look at moving forward with that, and we'll give you some more details. Soon. Okay. Thank you all so much for giving us that feedback. We appreciate it. With that, unless Angela or Laura have any other updates, I guess we can go to questions.
Okay. So the first question that we have is indicating that parents that got emergency certificates got a letter about copays being paid. They don't understand copays, and now they all think their certificates are good until December 31st. And they're asking if we can send an email or a notification to those parents regarding just sort of clarifying that information to them.
So is this in regard to, are these the temporary certificates?
They capitalized emergency to sort of highlight that. So I'm going to say yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. Angela, do you know the letter that they're talking about? Okay.
Yeah, we can do it, Chad. I know which one they're talking about. It was the letter that we sent out to parents, just letting them know that we were taking care of co-pays through December for those who are on our program. And so I guess it went out to all parents, so we can send some clarity out.
Yeah, we'll definitely clarify that.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Okay, bear with me here just a second. And then we have two questions that are looking at parent redetermination. One is about whether it's currently being required, and if not, they want us to know that some parents are having some trouble with that, and how do they get that resolved? And then the second questioner was just asking if we would consider delaying it, which is going to be tied to your first response. So
right now, go ahead, Angela. I'll let you.
Okay. For the parents that are getting the redetermination notices, what we're doing is those of the parents who are working and can complete the redetermination process successfully, we're moving forward with their application, and they're continuing with their 12-month certificate if they're eligible. Those parents who have been affected by COVID and not working the hours or school or whatever their circumstances is, we're still sending them their notice. If all they need to do is complete the application, send in what they have, and what they do not have, we're not holding them. They're not being dismissed off the program. That once we process and see that they're not eligible or they don't have what is needed, we move them to a temporary emergency certificate, which allows them to continue on to the program until until we are finished with COVID or the next steps. And once we do that, the parent will get another opportunity to complete the process to stay on the program to get their regular certificate back. So it allows us to keep them on the program, serve them during this time, and then give them an opportunity to get back on their feet and then go through the process again. So no one is being terminated off the program due to redebt. So that's the process. So we want to be able to keep our system going, because every time we stop it, we have to start it back up, and it just causes more error. So we're just trying to avoid that. So we did send out notices letting the parents know this process. So just have them to complete the application, even if they don't send in any documentation because they don't have any. Completing the application and moving forward through the steps, they will get a temporary emergency certificate that sends them an email telling them that they're continuing on the program. So I hope that clears up a little bit of that.
And to answer the other, we have not set a date to put redetermination back in place yet.
Right.
We've had discussions about it. So I can tell you as of right now, you know, we are delaying it. And we're going to continue to delay it. We will give at least 90 days notice before we put the redetermination process back in place.
Okay, so our next question is there an RFP for the ECA role in the Gulf Coast Community College area?
No, there is not at this point. We have talked about potentially issuing RFPs in areas where we don't have a resource and referral, where we feel that there might be one. If we do release that RFP, it will be the beginning of next year before it goes out. Right now, our main focus is keeping the existing community colleges on board and making sure that we transition the existing system as smoothly as possible.
Okay, so the next question is about booster shots, and is there a list of places we can spend the booster shot money, or a more comprehensive list of things on which to spend the funds?
With the booster shot, we sent out an email with that provided a list of what you could spend the money on. You can spend the booster shot payment on pretty much almost everything that you would normally, you know, use subsidy funds. Now, you cannot use it for capital improvements or what we call renovations. I'm correct about that, right, Laura?
Right.
So, you know, you cannot use the booster shot to make, you know, put a new roof on your building or install permanent playground equipment, anything that would be considered like a capital investment or a renovation, renovation improvement to your program. Anything else, you can use it for teacher salaries. You can use it to purchase supplies. You can use it to purchase, that includes food supplies for your children. You can use it to purchase PPE. You can use it to purchase, I know there are some things, and some of you have shared with me, like there's some HVAC filters that you can put in place. There's, I think it's like called like an atomizer, or I don't know. Lynn's grinning at me because she knows I'm trying to think of the word. But it's a system that sterilizes, I think not just equipment, but also the air. So you can use your booster shot money for those types of expenses. Is there any other, Laura, am I missing anything else as far as restrictions?
So just if you have a specific question, if there's something that's not on this list of allowable sort of categories of expenditures, and you have specific questions, you can just shoot those to the email, that CC notices email, and we'll get back. You know, the categories are pretty broad because we didn't really want to restrict providers from being able to use the funding for what they need most in order to respond to what they paid out for COVID, and then how they're having to respond now. So we wanted to leave it open-ended within the federal spending requirements to sort of allow providers to do what they needed to do with the money, as long as they don't cross any of those no lines, like Chad mentioned, in terms of making renovations to your building, or supplanting, which just means claiming the same purchase for two different funding services, federal funding sources. So for instance, if you told Ocean in your USDA food program, if you said that you turned in a receipt for food purchases to Ocean, you can't then also use that receipt for your booster shot funds. You can use it to pay for other expenses, just not those same expenses that were used by another federal source and used as evidence of expending that other federal source. So those are the no-nos with that. Okay, so the next question that we have is about receiving contact hours for those sessions. And I'm assuming, Chad, that this came through when you were talking about the listening sessions.
Right. No, we will not be offering contact hours for that. Contact hours have to be linked to educational credit. These are going to be sessions where you'll be sharing information with us, so they're not eligible for contact hours. Sorry. Now, if y'all want to get on here and I'll talk, I can teach to you for an hour. We can talk about some contact credit then.
Okay. Next question is, will there be another booster shot payment this year?
As of right now, no. The existing booster shot payment that we're processing is the only one we have enough money for. I know $47 million sounds like a lot of money, and it is a good bit of money, but trust me when I say we have allocated every penny to support programs for you. I can say none of that money has gone for any administrative cost. Every single dollar we've allocated to go directly to child care programs, to support child care programs. But no, as of right now, we don't, unless we are issued, if we receive more, funding like CARES dollars, we could potentially look at doing another booster shot payment, but right now, no.
Okay. Next question is, did I hear that comprehensive rates become depleted and go back to standard rates in December? If so, what about the participants that participated in the PDGB-5 grant?
So December will be the last month that you will be reimbursed at that enhanced rate. So those checks, the December checks go out in January. Is that right, Angela? Yeah. So that will be the last, probably the last, that's the last guaranteed that we can give you at that enhanced rate. If it looks like we'll be able to continue that, we'll let you know before December. But as of right now, that is the plan. Is that as of at the end, December will be the last month that we will pay at that enhanced rate, which is was called the comprehensive rate. As far as the PDGB-5, we are not making plans to pursue that designation any further. The PDGB-5, that was a pilot, and that was actually a pilot that was not run by MDHS. It was run by the Mississippi Community College Board. And while there were some valuable lessons learned with that pilot, it was determined that Mississippi just could not facilitate that program. It was too costly. It put a lot of extra burden on child care providers. And of the pilot group, there may have been one or two that were even able to get close to meeting the comprehensive requirements. So we are not planning to pursue that. We're going to keep the standard designation in place for now. But we are also making some plans to look at how that, that system, if it truly does, look at quality. And actually in these virtual sessions, I'm going to want to hear from you all about that as well. So what are some of your ideas as far as what we should be looking at to support you making your programs better? And if the standard process is not doing that, how can we change that system to better support you in raising the quality of your programs? We don't want to, what we're wanting to implement is not a quality rating improvement system. We want to implement what we call a quality support system. So we want to help, whatever your needs are, we want to help you, meet you where you are and bring you up to that next level, but in a way that is not punitive or that makes your program look less than it is. I know y'all work your tails off every single day. And, my agenda is nothing more than to support child care programs and to help others see just how valuable you all are. And I'm not interested in putting any system in place that's going to make you, that's going to paint a picture in any other way.
Okay, our next question is, sorry guys, I'm trying to manage too many things at once here. Okay, so our next question is, parents that were under the C-Care program, so temporary emergency certificates, will they have to start over for the application time frame of the original parent application? How long will that process take? I've received termination for a few parents.
The C-Care emergency, that was a one-time temporary thing. Once that 90-day period has expired, that certificate cannot be renewed. What those parents can do is they can apply for normal subsidy, and if they meet the requirements for that. Now I'm talking about those that, not the ones that Angela was talking about earlier, not parents that would normally apply or that would normally qualify for subsidy. We're talking about those, I'm talking about those certificates that were for those emergency certificates. So that priority population, healthcare service workers, those folks that normally would not qualify for subsidy because of income or working, restrictions. Those are temporary.
And just add, we did give them an opportunity to stay on the program by sending them the information and the requirements for a regular certificate. So if they felt like they qualify and they wanted to attempt the application and provide updated information for what is required for our regular certificate, they were offered that opportunity.
Okay. Angela, I think this next question is for you. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, stay on the line.
Okay.
Why does when a parent has a new baby have to cancel their current certification and get recertified? That's keeping them out of work for weeks until they get reapproved.
It depends on which application that you are referring to, because remember, if there is a parent who did not complete the redet process and they wanted to add a child, but they were technically at that particular time, they're not eligible, but we gave them an emergency certificate, or they were trying to add the child, but they could not. It just depends on the circumstance. And I would have to look at that. You could send me an email and I can review and see what the circumstance was. But there is some criteria that we have to look at when we're looking at those add a child. So it just depends on where they are, or what type of application they have at this time.
Okay. Will the C-Care emergency site be open past December 31, or will they be closed down? Many parents are concerned that they will be without a certificate after December 31st.
What's happening is like I said, we're finalizing those last emergency C-Care certificate applications. At the point that last application is processed, we're going to issue a 90-day notice that C-Care sites have 90 days to wrap things up. We want to make sure that those parents that are getting those temporary certificates will continue to have service. But so for those temporary C-Care sites, in other words, those 13 temporary sites, we'll give them a 90-day notice at the point that last certificate is issued. Because what that does is that aligns the certificate with the emergency site.
Okay. I'm not sure if we answered this next one, Angela, on your last response or not. So I'm going to go ahead and ask it, and you can make any additions if you need to. But so the question is, how long is the approval time for a new certificate? And what are the provisions for families who currently have CCDF that need to add a child?
As long as the parent for the add a child is eligible and active, they've completed the redetermination process and they were approved, they can go ahead and add the child to the program. They will have to supply, the birth certificate and any documentation that's required for that application. But if they're going through redetermination, we try to make sure we complete the redetermination process first and then do the add a child. So it just depends, like I said, it just depends on what stage of the application process you're in for that add a child application. And I'll be happy to look at it for anyone that needs it. And then the time frame, you guys, we have been processing a lot of applications. The dates have pushed back a little bit. It can take up to 30 days. Now that we are removing or going out of the, taking out the CCARE applications process, the dates can go back and we can process within 2 or 3 days. But we have been trying to clear out all of the applications that we have had in the process. So it can take a certain amount of time based off of what is necessary, what is added, if something is missing, if the parent is in compliance with different things. So it just depends on the type of application, but it can take up to the 30 days. And depending on when everything was submitted and when the person has reached, the worker has reached your, the parent's name, because there's always somebody in front of another person. So we're working in the order in which they are assigned out to our workers.
Thank you. So I just want to remind folks that it's really challenging for Angela to respond to questions about specific cases that come through in this format. And so I just want to encourage you to please send us an email or call that, call the 800 number if your question is about a specific case, so that we can have the time to look up the information and give you a complete response to that. Because the best we can do here is sort of give you general responses without having the benefit of those details. So if you have posted a question about a specific case, we're going to try to contact you directly on here, through your emails after the session's over. But just know that if you do have those case specific questions, those are really better to come to us directly outside of this format, just so that we have all the information and we can give you a good and complete answer. Okay. Our next one is a statement and a recommendation, Chad, that that the parents aren't realizing that they have an emergency option in relation to redetermination, and that it's really hard to contact parents right now due to COVID, and their cell numbers have changed, or things have changed, and they've been not attending and not enrolled in the way that they were before, and that the recommendation is that redetermination be delayed as a means to support small business childcare.
I appreciate that recommendation. And like I said, right now we haven't made any decisions about redetermination, but we will definitely take that into consideration.
Can the booster shot money be used to install touchless sinks in the restrooms?
That somewhat borders, I think, on a capital improvement. Laura, do you have a take on that?
I can answer that. Actually, the restriction in relation to into that issue revolves moving or relocating or adding plumbing fixtures. It would not prevent you from replacing faucet handles or anything like that. And so that's essentially what the touchless process would be. It would just be replacing of hardware. But it cannot cover any changes to how the plumbing lines are run or where the sinks are, moving the sinks from one room into another room. It can't cover any of that. It could just cover sort of the changing of the existing hardware that you have now to upgrade that. That would be fine. It just can't cover any more permanent process to that. Classroom tables are an allowable expense with booster shots. There's a question about how to apply for the booster shot funding, and I will put the link in the chat so folks can access that link. I will also put the link to our website where the information is about the funding opportunity. So if y'all will just bear with me a little while I sort through these questions, I'll get those items added to the chat function for you. When will parents who have information in for certification, will it be 90 days because these parents are sending emails? I'm not really sure exactly if the question is about how long it will. I'm going to think that this question is how long will the certificate last once we're able to issue it? I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, the emergency temporary certificate is good for 90 days. And then certificates for normal subsidy, they follow the same time frame as subsidy, which is a year once they're issued.
Okay. Angela, would you mind, could you take over the question facilitation and let me sort of get some information posted in the chat? It's going to answer a lot of questions.
Sure. What's the next one you were on? I was answering a question from someone, so I got to scroll back up.
Mm-hmm. Let's see.
Sorry.
That's okay. I think the next one that we haven't covered or that I'm getting ready to cover is, will there be a class offered for director's credential for new people?
Okay.
And I can answer that question. Yes, there will be. We're working on it right now. The last module, which is our curriculum module, it is being, the final edits are being made. We're hoping to announce the full, we're hoping to announce options to attend the full director's credential beginning 1st of next year, if not sooner. Again, the transition from community college board directly with the community colleges put a little bit of a kink in the plans for that. We were actually planning on having it ready actually this month. We've had to push it back just a little bit, but yes, the full Mississippi director's credential with a renewal process will be in place 1st of next year. There's actually a renewal class open right now, or they're doing renewals right now. And I believe that the Early Childhood Academy sent out a flyer about that. Should you have any questions about taking the director's credential renewal, you can contact your local ECA. They are going to be facilitating that renewal class that's going on right now. Now, I do want to clarify, this renewal is for the Mississippi Director's Credential. It is not for the CDA. Those are two different things. The Mississippi Director's Credential is a program specific to Mississippi, and it's specifically for directors. The CDA is called the Child Development Associate Certification. It's a different thing. So look at, if you're not sure if you got the director's credential or the CDA, If you've got your certificate with you, the director's credential actually says director's credential on it. And then your CDA certificate, it should say Child Development Associate, and there should also be a gold seal on it that's from the Council for, I think it's professional recognition. But just look at that if you're not sure.
So Laura, I'm gonna shoot. If I skipped one, just let me know and I'll go back up. But I think I found the question where you left off. And it says, can we spend the booster shot money on new computers for our center?
Yes, that is okay. Yes.
The next one is, what is and how do you apply for booster shot funds?
Okay, actually, I think Laura's putting together some information.
Okay.
She's going to put in the chat. I will just quickly give you just a quick rundown. The booster shot payment, it is a one-time payment lump sum that we are issuing to child care providers based on their capacity. So it's not your enrollment, it's not your attendance, it's whatever is on your, if you're a licensed child care provider, for example, it's whatever your capacity is on your child care license. And so it's an amount per spot that is calculated, and you receive a one-time lump sum payment.
If we have applied for the booster money and have not received it yet, how do we follow up on this? And I'm sure Laura will put that in the information that she's typing up now for the booster shot. But they are working those applications, and so they just might not have made to your application just yet. But they are processing those, and you will receive a notice of denial or approval at some point. Anything to add to that, Jay?
Yeah, it takes a little bit of time with those booster shot applications, just because, you know, we have to process the application itself, verify, you know, your capacity, you know, all that. But like Angela said, we are processing those.
The next one is, will there be a class offered for director's credentials for new people?
Yeah, that's the same, what I mentioned earlier. It's the full
Okay.
director's credential class that we'll be releasing first of next year.
And someone put in hazard pay for booster program.
Possibly, if you're speaking about hazard pay for teachers, yes, you can use your booster shot money to give your teachers hazard pay.
Okay. This is more of a statement that someone wanted to share about. There is a system called Remy Hello that can be installed on the heat and AC unit that sanitizes and reduces the airborne particulates up to 99%. Just an FYI. Also, we have purchased handheld ones to double safety. Just sharing information.
What was that again? Remy, what was that?
Remy Halo, Halo.
Thank you for sharing that information.
Chad, I don't know if you want to address this, but so the work that most of us did for the comprehensive was for nothing?
I can't say that it was for nothing. You know, anytime you work to improve your program, I think that's you know, that's worthwhile work. And I really can't, you know, just being completely frank, I was not part of putting the comprehensive pilot together. Neither was Department of Human Services. It did go through the early childhood academies, but that was a grant that was pursued again by the Mississippi Community College Board. And I think it was to look at, you know, it was to look at a method of raising quality. But let me say this, when we talk about quality improvement in Mississippi, there's a lot of research out there about what constitutes quality. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. And even the good research, we may not be able to apply to our state for a variety of different reasons. y'all know for yourself, anytime you've opened up a Lakeshore or a Kaplan or any kind of catalog, early childhood materials are expensive. You know, you cut a few inches off a table and they jack the price up. That's just, you know, that's just the nature of how it goes. Um, I, you know, looking at the requirements for the comprehensive designation, they were very, very high. And there were some things part of that designation that many programs just, you know, and not on, and when I say programs, I'm even talking about my program, DECCD, we just could not support. There are things, you know, like, you know, requiring higher levels of teacher certifications and certain materials and things. And not to say that that's not good stuff, but we can't jump from a little hill to Mount Everest without making sure that everyone is going to get there. We do not want to put any system in place that is going to leave anybody behind. The only way that early childhood is going to aspire to the next level is if we all go there at the same time. We all go together, we all work together, we support each other, we support other programs. That's the key. And, you know, again, you know, I applaud you for, you know, doing the comprehensive pilot. You know, I have to say, I do not think it was a waste. But as far as trying to implement that program statewide, it was not going to be feasible for our state. And not to say that we may not keep some of the elements of that, but elements that we're going to keep, it's going to be because you all tell us this is what we like about it, or this is what worked. Again, we want to make sure that we don't put anything in place that's going to make your lives miserable. Improving your programs, yeah, there's going to be, you know, there's always growing pains associated with it, but ultimately, effort that you put into making your program better, it should be something because it's something that you want to do and something that you take pride in. And you do it because you want to make your program better, not because we're making you do it. And as we have these talks about whatever we're going to be putting in place, again, that's why it's going to be very important for you all to give us input on what you want to see done in your own programs. Because if you yourselves, you know, don't place value in the work, it's just not going to get done and it's not going to be sustainable. So, you know, again, I'm sorry, you know, I know that there was a lot of work that was put into that. You know, please don't consider it, you know, to be wasted time. You know, look at it as a way that you've improved your program. And moving forward, those of you that did participate, please share with, you know, please share with me, please share with, you know, all of us, what was good about it, what you might like to see carry forward. But then also what about it, you know, maybe we could have done a little differently.
The next question, because we're getting close to time. Do I qualify for any assistance in feeding my children and wipes and spray since I'm in a house? I'm an in-home provider with 5 children.
Okay, a family child care program. If you are participating in subsidy, you're eligible to apply for the booster shot program. Okay. You are eligible to apply for that.
How do you know when you are about to receive reimbursement for emergency vouchers? That is, we disperse, checks come out of our office no later than the 15th and the end of the month. As long as you claim your ledger by the 5th and the 15th of each month, you will get paid during whatever particular time that you did that ledger. If you do your ledger on the 7th and the 17th, you will get paid that following month because you missed those time periods in which you needed to submit your ledger to get paid for that following month. Is if a father has custody of his children, I'm assuming, and he's not sure where the mother is, can the father apply and receive child care for his children? The father is working. And the answer to that is yes. Even though he doesn't know where the mother is, he just still needs to open the child support case if that is what needs to happen. And then that's all he has to do is be in cooperation, and everything else, as long as he have documentations of the other requirements, then he should be good to go. So the child support will still be an issue for parents that usually wouldn't qualify for a child care certificate that was once on an emergency certificate. If they were on an emergency certificate and the requirement to move forward on a regular certificate, if that child support is applicable to them, then yes, they would have to make sure that they are meeting that requirement. If they're, you know, the father is deceased or some other reason that causes them not to meet that qualification, we would just need to know so that we can guide them accordingly. This next one says, I support the goal of DHS to refine quality and to improve the very poor program we endured over the last 3 years. Sorry, I got a lot of private stuff. Will centers be paid if a child is out with parent having to quarantine? If so, what code will we be given? Yes, that is, we will pay during that time. You're paying for enrollment. Just use your emergency code, the D and the R that you have, and just put in the comment box that the child is out due to COVID.
Okay, y'all, we are at time. And just in the intro, I've actually got another meeting I've got to get to in about 15 minutes. It doesn't look like Andrea was able to join us. I know she had several appointments today. So we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. We'll leave it open for just a few more minutes if you want to enter any questions into the chat that we may need to respond to. On behalf of, you know, DECCD, Angela, Laura, everyone else, thank you so much for joining us today. We do really value these opportunities to talk to you. We are going to continue to do these. And like I said, look for that email for those virtual town halls. We'll be sending those out shortly. Everyone, please take care. Have a great rest of your week. And we will see you next time.